Good morning, my dear students. Hope you all are doing well. So, continuing with the last class, let's start today's class. So, please take out page number 5. That is from the last, it's a second last paragraph. Alright. So, in the last class, we discussed about the moist imprint that Kushal Singh was saying about. Alright. So I hope that thing is clear to you all. So moving on to the next paragraph, see the next paragraph. But that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. So we knew that Kushal Singh said this, that he will be back after 5 or 6 years. Alright, and at that point of time he was in a doubt that whether his grandmother would be living or not. Alright, because he believed that his grandmother could pass at any point of time, at any moment of her life. Alright, so what he says here, that finally he came back after 5 years, after pursuing his education, and when he came back he was met by her. That is, her here refers to the grandmother. So the grandmother came there at the railway station in order to take him off, alright, in order to welcome him. She did not look a day older. Now what did Kushal Singh say here? That she was exactly looking like the way that Kushal Singh saw, during his last meeting. Alright, she did not even look a day older or a day younger. She was exactly looking the same when he saw her the last time. She still had no time for words. So it so used to happen earlier that the grandmother, always used to make herself busy with those few basic things. Alright, as we are already familiar with, that she used to recite prayers. She used to chant the names of gods, alright, and also she used to feed the sparrows. So those were few little things that actually she made herself busy with, alright. So in the same way, what Kushal Singh says here, that till now, still she had no time for words. She had no time for having any kind of conversation, because she had also made herself busy with her daily works. And while she clasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayers. So it was after a long time that they were meeting at the railway station. Alright. So after seeing Kushal Singh, what did the grandmother do? She just hold him tightly into her arms, alright, while at the same time she was reciting her prayer too. Alright, she doesn't leave that thing for even a minute or so. Alright, she doesn't even forget to recite her prayers. Alright, she doesn't even forget to chant the names of gods. All the time she kept on doing that thing only. So even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with her sparrows, whom she fed longer, and with frivolous rebukes. So now also Kushal Singh can see that even after 5 years or so, my grandmother used to feed those sparrows in the same way that she used to feed earlier when I saw her last time. Alright, so she was continuing with that thing till now. Alright, now what do you mean by frivolous rebukes here? What did he say? That, see this line again, that even on her first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with her sparrows only. Alright, so that was the most happiest moment of a day, because she used to feel connected with those sparrows, alright, and that made her feel good, that made her feel relaxed, alright, whom she fed longer and with frivolous rebukes. And sometimes it's so used to happen that sometimes the grandmother used to give some kind of rebukes to those sparrows, some kind of scoldings, and that too in a very loving manner. Alright, so the sparrows also used to get adjusted with that rebukes. Alright, so they never went away from that place whenever the grandmother used to give them some kind of loving rebukes. So that is what Khushwant Singh says here. So there one can see a connection, a strong connection that was going around between the grandmother and those sparrows. Alright, so I hope this paragraph is clear to you all. So moving on to the next paragraph. In the evening, a change came over her. Now Khushwant Singh says here that during the evening time, right, in the evening time, he saw a certain kind of change of attitude, a certain kind of change of behavior in his grandmother. She did not pray. Now that's a very weird thing. Why? Because that's her daily regime. That's a part of her daily regime, that she always used to pray to God. She always used to recite the prayers. Alright? But that day, in the evening time, she did not pray. She collected, so what did she do? She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum and started to sing. Alright, so that is what she did that evening, that particular evening, leaving her daily work. Alright, so what do you think? What could be the reason behind doing this kind of thing? And that too, leaving her daily work, which she used to love the most. Alright, so what did she do? She collected all the women of the neighborhood and they got an old drum, alright, and started to sing. All of them started to sing together. So that was mainly because Khushwant Singh had come to his home after a long time. Alright, so in order to welcome his coming back to his home after 5 or 6 years so, alright, in order to rejoice that moment, in order to enjoy that moment, in order to enjoy the connection that Khushwant Singh and his grandmother shares. Alright, so till now, so we can find that till now his grandmother gives him that equal importance that she used to give him earlier. Alright, so see the next line, what he says here, that for several hours she thumped the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum and sang of the homecoming of warriors. So continuously for many hours, what did the grandmother do? She just took up an old drum, alright, and just continuously she had been singing songs using the drum, alright, skins of the dilapidated drum. Now here it refers to the condition of the drum. The drum was in a very bad condition, alright. Dilapidated means it was almost torn out. Alright, in Hindi we used to say phata hua dholak. Alright, that means it was in a very bad condition, it was torn out. Alright, so by using that drum only, she had been singing songs with all the women of the neighborhood in order to welcome the warrior. Now here warrior refers to Khushwant Singh. Alright, in order to welcome his coming back home. We had to persuade her to stop to avoid overstraining. Now since the grandmother was very old at that time, so it was not probably affordable for any of them to give her any kind of demand of strength. It was very much risky for her because at that time she could die at any point of time. Right? So that is what Khushwant Singh says here, that we had to persuade her, we had to request her time and again. We had to make her aware of the fact that she had to stop singing and using the drum for a moment. or otherwise it could have a risky thing for her. So that was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. Alright, so it's a very weird thing, very strange thing that grandmother had done at that point of time. Alright, she had never left in her entire life, she had never left a moment, in reciting the prayers. All the time she used to keep taking the names of gods, all the time she used to keep reciting the prayers, she used to keep, chant the prayers. Alright, so that is what Khushwant Singh says here, so that was the first time I saw her, not not recalling the name of God, and that was very strange for him. So I hope this paragraph is also clear. So next, coming on to the next morning she was taken ill. Now what will be the reason for her get into ill? Because the previous day she had been overstraining. She had been singing songs using that dilapidated drum. Alright, so she was taken ill. So next day what happened? Next morning she had fallen ill, and it was a mild fever. Alright, very light kind of fever, and the doctor told us that it would go. So the doctor advised Khushwant Singh that you don't have to worry because it is just a mild fever and it would just go after some time. But my grandmother thought differently, because earlier we did study about the fact that grandmother perhaps knew, she was knowing the fact that she could pass at any point of time, because whatever weakness or whatever meekness was there inside her, only she could feel that. Alright, she knew that she was very old and very weak at that point of time, so she could pass out at any time. Alright, so when the doctor told Khushwant Singh that you don't have to worry because the fever that your grandmother is having now, it would go after some time, but grandmother was not agreeing to what the doctor had said. Alright, because she knew that she would die very soon. So she said, alright, she said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray. Very important line. Alright, so what did she tell Khushwant Singh? She told Khushwant Singh that it is going to be the last chapter of my life. That means she will die afterwards. Alright, after this moment she will pass away. And she also said that for this moment, for this last moment, this is the only moment that I had stopped my praying. Alright, so she was not going to waste any more time talking to us. Now she said to Khushwant Singh that since only few time is left with me, so for this time I want to recall my God. I want to recite my prayer once again. Alright, in the last minute of my life. Alright, that is what she said to Khushwant Singh. She did. For now, she don't want to talk to anyone. She wanted her time, her own time, her private time that she used to devote, in reciting the names of the gods, in reciting the prayers. Alright, so that is what she says here to Khushwant Singh. Alright, so I think this paragraphs are clear to you all. Alright, so only 2 paragraphs are left. So I hope in the next class we shall definitely be able to complete this chapter, and afterwards we will continue with the question answers. Alright, so for today let's stop here, and we shall continue the other last two paragraphs in our next class. So hoping to see you in the next class. Have a great day ahead, and all of you, please take care. All right. Thank you.